Although I haven't been involved with ECAWAR for a long time, I'm proud to see this organization continue on. I was involved when it was first the U of A, the University of Alberta Coalition Against War and Racism, and my involvement there sparked my conscience and sparked my desire to act on my conscience. And since I've been involved in many different women's organizations defending women's rights and the rights of all. Peggy and I work together along with other women who are here in the crowd today with Women for Rights and Empowerment, and we'll be organizing International Women's Day coming up in March. So we're proud as Women for Rights and Empowerment to carry the slogan of no war in Iran. We wholeheartedly adopt this call. And why is opposing war and all wars of aggression a women's issue? Well, women have a long history of anti-war activism going back centuries. And many people don't know, for example, that even Mother's Day has roots in anti-war activism and anti-poverty activism dating back to the Civil War. So everywhere where you see people of conscience standing up against war, you'll find women in the forefront, speaking out to protect themselves, their children, their families, and communities. Women must also speak out when part of the false justification for war is that it can somehow be used as a way of advancing women's rights. We saw this in Canada's role in Afghanistan when our government was posing as a defender of women's rights, even as it was ignoring the calls for justice of families of missing and murdered Indigenous women here at home. The stand of Indigenous women has been a model for us at Women for Rights and Empowerment. Although part of their call was to demand justice from the government, it was a call to be heard on their own terms, not for the government or one political party or whatever to act on their behalf. So if we are to stop war and the crippling sanctions on Iran, it will be up to us as people of conscience around the world. But we must not dictate to the Iranian people the path that they must take, and we must not allow our own governments to act in our names without our consent. So one model of this is Code Pink, which is an anti-war women's organization in the United States that grew out of the last war on Iran. And they I want to read a very short letter that they have to the Iranian people. So they say, "We, the American people, are horrified by the actions of our government to provoke a war with you. From President Trump's dangerous decision to pull out of the Iran nuclear agreement, to the crippling sanctions his administration has imposed, to the assassination of General Soleimani, President Trump and his administration have pushed our two nations to the brink of war. Poll after poll reveals that the American people do not want a war with Iran. They want an end to the Middle East wars that the U.S. has engaged in for far too long. They want their nation's resources to be dedicated to enriching people's lives, not enriching the weapons makers. We want to live in peace and harmony with the people of Iran. So they offer their hand in friendship and ask that the peacemakers prevail over those who sow hatred and discord." So like the principled stand of Code Pink, we also take that stand here as treaty people. We're both Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples in these lands who recognize that we are all treaties people. And that means that we take seriously our obligation to defend the intent of those treaties, to uphold peace, friendship, and right relations. And we extend our solidarity in that spirit to the people and especially the women of Iran. As we know, colonial governments have a long history of violating such principles in Iran as well as here in these lands, and acting with impunity in their own selfish and destructive self-interests regardless of the cost to human lives and security. Women in Iran, in Canada, and around the world will continue to declare that no such warmongering shall be allowed to pass with our consent. We declare on this issue that on this issue of peace and security, and on all aspects of our lives and rights, that it's up to us. We will decide, and we will not give up our power or our voice and allow our government or any government that claims it can act with impunity. No war in Iran. Who decides? We decide.